Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kwami Abdul-Bey, the elections coordinator and organizer at the Arkansas Public Policy Panel. Thank you for joining us for this afternoon's noon webinar, where every other Friday-ish, we try to have conversations that are relevant to all Arkansans dealing with public policy and how we as Arkansans can get involved and civically engaged. In one of my main duties here at the Arkansas Public Policy Panel, I am the campaign manager for two different BQCs. BQC is a ballot question committee, and ballot question committees are organizations or groups of organizations that advocate either for or against a citizen initiated ballot measure. And there are two ballot measures that we are working towards, but those BQCs are for our kids and protect our rights. And what I want to do today is I want to have a conversation with our two field directors for these two BQCs and want to talk about their why, want to talk about their vision, and then we want to talk about next steps. So I want to use this next hour to introduce them. And I'm going to start with Katherine Tipton. Katherine Tipton is the field director for Our Kids. And next we have Dr. Dara, who is the field director for Protect Our Rights. And I'm gonna give each of them an opportunity to introduce the ballot measure that they're working on separately. And then we're just gonna talk about the importance of the work that they're doing, how it's getting done, and why they're here. They are here with big smiles on their face. You can't see Dara's real smile, but she has a really nice looking picture there. Hi, Dara. Say hello to everybody so they know you're here. Dara, can you hear us? Okay, well, while we're waiting on Dara to mic up.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm
Okay.
sorry, my computer let me mute myself. But yes, I am
All
here.
right, she accidentally muted herself. All right, so Katherine, why don't you introduce yourself? And then I'm going to let Dr. Dara Gaines introduce herself, and then I'm going to have each of you introduce your ballot measure.
Perfect. My name, like Kwame said, my name is Katherine Tipton, and I am a native Arkansan from a very small town in north central Arkansas. And the reason I wanted to work on this.
Wait a minute, hold on. You didn't even name the town. You said a very small town. Like we're supposed to get on a map and look, where's the small town? What is the town?
Okay, so I grew up in Valley Springs, Arkansas.
Valley Springs, Arkansas. Where is that?
In Boone County, Arkansas.
Boone County. All right, cool.
It has a population, I think, currently of like 187 people. So the amount of people who know where it is or know basically from the northern part of Arkansas, I grew up where 412 and 65 meet. And so the reason that I started becoming involved with politics was I just realized that the way that I wanted to make a difference needed to be a little bit bigger than I had previously been trying to do. I worked on my first campaign in Mississippi. It was a state legislative race in 2015. And then I was lucky enough to continue working in that space. And when we moved back home from Tennessee in December of 21, I got in touch with some of my friends and I said, I think it's time for me to get back into politics. And then in 22, I worked on, I think, 3 different races. And then in 24, I was campaign manager for Kate Schaefer's race for state representative in District 10.
All right. So you definitely have some experience, not only on campaigns, but particularly in the field. Dara,
Absolutely.
introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Dara Gaines. I'm the field director for the Protect Our Rights campaign, which is our direct democracy initiative that we are supporting. Um, a little bit about me. I'm also from a very small town in Southwest Arkansas, Ogden, Arkansas.
What
Um,
you said, Ogden?
yes,
All right.
Ogden, Ogden,
And
Arkansas,
where is that?
Little River County. It's
Okay,
right near
Little
this right
River
there.
County.
Yep, down in the corner.
Yeah, I see. Near
So
Texarkana.
yeah, it's right there by Texarkana. I went to school at the University of Arkansas. I got a political science degree there, graduated in 2017, went on to graduate school where I earned a master's and a PhD in political science at Northwestern University. I decided to come home during COVID and everything, and that gave me the opportunity to work on the Chris Jones campaign, which was my first campaign,
Mm,
where I was the deputy field director for that effort. And while we didn't win the seat, we did make a lot of inroads in a lot of different places in the state. And I was compelled to remain around here and really do what I could, do what I felt like I could do for the state and learn from the people who have been doing this work here. One thing that I love about politics in Arkansas is that you probably know somebody who's working on something that you're interested
mhm.
in. You just have to sort of ask around. And even if they're not directly involved in it, they can put you in touch with somebody or they can at least give you the scoop on somebody. And in this game, information is always really important. So I'm grateful to be working with this team because these folks know what they're talking about. So I'm excited to learn, excited to do this work.
Well,
I like
thank
to
you.
call that the 6 degrees of like Arkansas. I don't know if you guys ever have this, but like anytime I'm outside of Arkansas and I meet another Arkansan, they're like, okay, time out. Who are your people? What
Yeah.
parts of the state do you know? And we'll find eventually somebody we know in common. It's such a cool place.
Yes. I definitely have had that on more than one occasion.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, Dara, you talked about your campaign being a direct democracy campaign. Will you go ahead and introduce the measure that your campaign is supporting?
Sure, absolutely. So this campaign is supporting the Arkansas ballot measure rights amendment. And what this is doing, like I mentioned, is protecting direct democracy. So you might ask, what is direct democracy?
Hmm.
So many of us are familiar with our representative democracy, where we elect people to represent us who vote on bills and vote on changes and things that need to happen within government. Direct democracy is a different form of participation where instead of representative democracy, where someone else is making the decision on if we support this bill or we support this measure, with direct democracy, you, the voter, you get to decide what you support and if you would like to say yes or no to something. Arkansas is one of a handful of states, I think about 16 states right now, that allow some form of direct democracy in its state government. So Arkansas is really special in that it allows people to make amendments to the Constitution, to the state Constitution, to write laws, to repeal laws, to do a lot of things that folks in other states don't have the opportunity to do. And
Hmm.
since the establishment of this great state as a state here in the union, um, Arkansans have been able to utilize that resource. So Arkansans have used direct democracy to raise minimum wage, to protect voter rights in the past. And in this last legislative session, um, the state legislature passed over 15 laws that made it more difficult for people to utilize this right. So they increased the number of counties that have to be represented. And as we were just saying, Arkansas is a small state, but that does not mean it's easy to get across. So increasing the number of counties that have to be represented means that you have to spend more time and money and effort in a lot of the nooks and crannies of the state, which is fine. Like we want everyone to be a part of it, but making it more difficult to even get on the ballot just doesn't seem fair. In addition to that, they uh, really tried to make it more difficult for people to even be a part of this opportunity. So there were some really uh, intense sort of obstacles placed on canvassers. So anyone who's collecting petition signatures, they said that you have to look at people's IDs. You have to tell them that it's a felony to sign this thing. If twice, it's a felony to make a mistake on there. You have to read them the entire ballot measure. So they came up with all of these scare tactics that were sort of disguised as voter integrity and ballot integrity, but
Mhm.
there haven't been any real examples of concerted efforts to defraud the Arkansas government. So it really seems like an opportunity or an attempt really to stop Arkansans from participating in this process. And so this measure that we are supporting will help to stifle some of that. So this measure would protect canvassers and people who sign the petition. It would make it such that in the Arkansas Constitution, it would say that the state legislature cannot make it more difficult for people to practice this right,
Mhm.
nor can they change the things that Arkansans have voted to put into place. For example, medical marijuana is a topic that a lot of people are familiar with. That was something that was passed via this process. So Arkansans voted to allow that to happen. And since that was allowed, the Arkansas legislature has made lots of changes to the way that that process works. And so that medical marijuana amendment that people were in support of doesn't even look like what they supported, and that's just not fair. That really hurts people's trust in the government, and that's really at the root of this amendment, is that we want to keep the power in people's hands and not sort of cede it all to the state legislature.
I love the way that you frame that. And you mentioned the word participation three different times in your explanation. And I wonder if we would get more traction, more understanding from regular everyday Arkansans if we use the word participatory democracy instead of direct democracy. Uh, because a lot of times when I'm out and I'm saying direct democracy, uh, we kind of lose people in doing that. So I really appreciate you using the word participation three times. And with that, with the uses of that word, uh, would you speak to what you might believe to be the goal in, you mentioned these several laws that have been passed to kind of curtail our usage of this process of direct democracy. Uh, what does what might be the intent for regular Arkansans in trying to limit our participation in this form of government?
Yeah. So, of course, this is just me speculating.
Yes,
Um,
please.
but
You have a
what?
doctorate degree, so we all look up to your speculations.
Okay. Well, what I would say is that across the country, you've seen in other states where voters have been able to use this direct democracy or this participatory democracy effort to get some things back that had been taken from them in that sort of red wave that occurred. in the past couple of election cycles. So you've seen states bring back the right to an abortion in their state. You've seen states do a lot of work with minimum wage and labor protections. There's been a lot of, dare I say, progressive ideals that have passed in some red states through direct democracy, because quiet as it's kept, we're not as different on a lot of issues as some people would like us to believe. And a lot of folks who are in these red states who do vote that way do appreciate a lot of the ideas that other people are saying. And so you ask me, why do I think that they're trying to make it more difficult for us to do that? Well, I think it's because they know that Arkansans are more alike than we are different. And a lot of us agree that the government should not be in total control of every single thing that we want to do, especially when that government is very partisan in nature and does not seem like it's interested in serving all Arkansans. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is that they see the writing on the wall that we are ready to work together, and so they're trying to preempt that process.
Yeah, and
I'd
thank
also
you
like to
for.
add to
What'd you
that.
say?
I said I
Please go
also
ahead.
want to add to that. When I don't remember, there was a study the University of Arkansas did. I don't remember the exact number, but if someone signs a ballot initiative, they are much more likely to vote in that election.
17
And
times more likely.
I thought that was the number, but I didn't want to be hyperbolic and get it wrong. And I think Arkansas is a non-voting state. We have a 50%, give or take, voter turnout. And in Benton County, where I last worked my Arkansas election, we had one of the highest voter turnout districts, and it was 65%. When Arkansans really understand that we can create the changes that we on this call are working toward, I think that we're going to find people who are interested in nonpartisan work and then come back to finding a political home, even if it's outside of one or both of the parties that are currently working. The thing that I tell a lot of people that makes them reframes the way that our government currently is, every single Democrat could stand up and walk out of the chambers currently, and the people who are, if every Republican was still there, they would still be able to conduct business because they would still have a quorum. And wherever you fall on the political spectrum, I believe we can all agree that if you don't have a give and take, and if you don't have a reason to compromise, you're not going to get to solutions that are really centered on the people you're supposed to be serving, and instead will serve a party line. And this is a great way to get people involved in politics that doesn't have to be partisan. And once they realize that Arkansas can create change on our own, I feel like we're going to start seeing a bigger participation rate, and that can make certain people nervous.
I love the way that you brought in the nonpartisanship of direct democracy, our participatory democracy. Here in Arkansas, 95% of all Arkansans attend and graduate from public school. And so it's really actually a nonpartisan issue, public schooling and
100%.
public education. So with that, would you please go ahead and introduce the measure that you are working on as the field director?
Yes. I am working on the Arkansas Education Rights Amendment that is the ballot question committee is for our kids. And really, the main thing that I think about when I look at the language of this is accountability. We are asking that Arkansans are given the things that we expected from the public education that's in the Constitution of the state of Arkansas. What it does is it requires all schools that accept voucher money from the LEARNS Act to meet the same standards as we hold our public schools to. And then there are additions to it that go outside of LEARNS, which includes pre-K for 3 and 4-year-olds, which is shown to dramatically increase education outcomes across socioeconomic divides, because it helps kids get used to being in school, having an understanding of the world around them that isn't focused on their families. And it also helps to compel programs for after school and summer school, and summer care programs, which as a working parent, I can tell you, finding a place that I trust with my children is difficult, and spots fill up really fast. And if the schools were a place that I could have my child attend for summer care, I would feel so much more confident that they're getting a high quality experience and that they're safe. Not to say that summer camps aren't a good idea for everyone and all kinds of new experiences, but having a continuity for certain groups of kids or certain kids with anxiety, like I have a kiddo who's a little bit nervous about new things, and being able to say, oh, well, it's at your school, that would be great. And I think that it also helps, this huge part of it that makes it special for me is that it provides wraparound support services for kiddos and their families within 200% of the federal poverty line. And we know that that unfortunately affects a lot of our Kansans. And to be able to have a wider safety net in times where at the moment things feel really uncertain would be incredibly helpful, because everybody's just trying to make it to the end of the day, the week, the month. And if we could take that concern, a little bit of that concern off of parents, I think that's incredibly helpful, and honestly what I would like to see a government be doing.
Yes, that the living expense of taking care of children, you know, as a parent myself, I know how much that costs. Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm feeling you on that one. And so I really need for this to pass.
Right.
All right. So before we go on, let me just let all of the viewers know that if you look on your screen, under both Catherine's and Dara's names, well, you don't look on it now because it's saying something else. All right, there you go. If you look under their names, you'll see like protect our rights and for our kids. If you put all of those words together and put a .org after it, you'll be able to go to the websites of these different BQCs to get more information on their particular ballot measures and understand why they're important. So the thing that I want to ask before I move on is I just want to know both of your why. It sounded like you were getting into your why, Katherine, being a parent. Katherine, what is your why for supporting the Arkansas Educational Rights Amendment of 2026 as the field director?
Well, yes, I have children that would directly benefit from this, but if this legislation had passed when I was a kid, I would have directly benefited from these wraparound services. My mom was a shift worker. She was a paramedic, and I was lucky that I had a lot of parents, grandparents that could take care of me when her schedule shifted. I know that I am incredibly lucky that I had that support. if I didn't, and this was here, she would have had a place that she could trust, that I could be safe. Um, and I'm a product of Arkansas schools. I went K through 9 in Arkansas, and then I came back to the University of Arkansas for both my bachelor's and my master's degree. I think Arkansas education is, at least when I was going to school, I had a great education, especially for the size of school that I had. And I think every kid in Arkansas deserves to have an education that they can look back on and be proud of. And the way this would help is it doesn't just focus on academic standards, it also sees kids and their families as a unit, as whole people who need help outside of the classroom. And that is incredibly important to me.
Thank you. And Dara, what is your personal why for supporting the Arkansas Ballot Measure Rights Amendment of 2026?
Yeah, so my area of research is in mobilization and political empowerment and engagement for folks. And to y'all's both of y'all's point, I think that people want to one be proud of the things that they are taking part in. So whether that's their school, whether that's their government, whether that's their community, and then two, people deserve to have access
Mhm.
to those things. And I believe that, and not only do I believe it, but studies show uh, to the point that y'all pointed out, people deserve to be able to participate in their governing, right? I deserve to be able to say what I agree with, what I disagree with, especially in a space like Arkansas right now in 2026. There's not many opportunities for a lot of people to have their voice heard in government because we're so heavily partisan. And this is an opportunity that has been available to Arkansans for decades that allows folks to have their voices heard, even if the D's or the R's aren't in power, right? Whoever's on the other side, right? So I'm passionate about this because the more people have access to participate, the more they will feel comfortable doing it, and that's how we get change, right? We get change by encouraging people to participate and giving them an opportunity to actually understand and take these things into their own hands.
One thing, Dara, that I found interesting in uh, researching you and doing your background is your dissertation.
Mm-hmm.
Dirt Road Democracy, is that the correct name of it?
That is the correct name.
Okay, tell us how that research, you just mentioned your research. Tell us how your research is being implemented as field director. I love the name of that, and I didn't have time to download it and read it before this conversation, but I'm very interested in learning how your research is being applied as field director for Protect Our Rights.
Yeah. So to break it down, essentially, I'll start with what my dissertation was. So I am a political scientist, and a lot of times people think that political scientists just want to argue all the time because that's what they see on the news. That is not political science. Those are talking heads, which are fine. Like I'm also one of those, but political science, we study politics. So my dissertation was specifically on rural Black political mobilization. So what gets country Black people to participate in government? Because I
Mhm.
myself am a country Black person, right? I come from a really small town. Well, it's not even really a town; it's an unincorporated area, and I saw how government either worked for or did not work for us in several different instances. So I made it my goal to understand how there were communities where the government was working, right? So my community, I never would imagine having even a Black mayor in the adjacent town, right? That would never cross my mind, even though we have enough people to be able to do something like that. But you go to places like Wilmer, or you go to places like Louisville, Stamps, and they're small, but they have lots of folks participating. So in my dissertation, what I found was there are spaces where people have had access um, to participation. So, for instance, you've had people run for office, you've had some big issue come up, and people had to get mobilized. And people learn from every single one of those instances. To Catherine's earlier point, when people do something once, they're more likely to do it again or participate in a different way. Because uh, one thing that I found is that nobody, and I don't know if it takes writing a dissertation to learn this, but nobody wants to feel like a dummy, right? Like nobody wants to feel stupid doing something.
Yeah.
And I believe that a lot of times, because of our lackluster civic education while we're in school, and then the fact that everything gets immensely more complicated once you get grown, people don't know how to participate. And so they do feel dumb going into a ballot box and not knowing anybody that's on there, or asking them even to participate in something like these ballot measures without them actually knowing what it is. But when you do have instances where, you know, somebody has gone to college and decided to come back, or maybe there's this big issue happening, like I don't know, a freaking data mining center being built in, you know, right in your backyard. Those force people to get engaged and understand how things work. And you can the political science, well, not political science, but the academic term for it is portability. Like you can take that, what you learn doing that thing, and use it to do something else. And that is what we call building a muscle, right? So you try it and you learn and you do it again and you do it again and do it again, and now it's old hat to you, right? It's muscle memory at that point. But I think the problem in a lot of spaces, especially in our more rural parts of Arkansas, and even in our Black communities in general in Arkansas, is we don't have a lot of that muscle memory outside of our, you know, Little Rock and some other spaces. So that's pretty much what I've tried to make my mission, is making sure that people understand how they do have power, because we
Mhm.
hear so much about how we don't have any power and everything is going bad, and that just sort of reinforces people's idea that they shouldn't participate. Like, why would I participate? We've all heard that, like, I can't do anything, my vote doesn't matter. But that's
Mhm.
because people don't know all of the options that they have. So that's why I'm passionate about this in particular, is because number one, it gives me an opportunity to have these sorts of conversations. But secondly, protecting this right protects the right for future efforts, right? This is sort of a meta a meta ballot measure, because if we're trying to protect the right to do this thing, if we don't protect this, you might not have this right in the future. So that's why I'm passionate about it, is because this is sort of the ground level. I'm not even asking you to learn a candidate. I'm not asking you to learn anybody's name or background or position. I'm asking people to support this opportunity for us to even have ideas and imagine what Arkansas can be.
Yeah.
Wow. I love the way that you ended that with imagine the way that Arkansas can be. That's I'm at a loss for words right now. I'm sorry.
Oh, that that now that we need to put that on the on the calendar. Oh, we got a loss for words. What?
Okay. All right. So how are you guys? And this is these the rest of the conversation is open to anybody. I'm not going to ask anybody a certain question unless I hear something, but this is just open conversation. Let's talk about what is needed for these campaigns to move forward. You know, you need signatures, you need volunteers, uh, you need time to sit down and talk to people and make sure that they're not feeling uh, uneducated. You know, so let's lay it out there. We got 30 minutes. What's needed?
So I know this is a part that we don't really talk enough about. We need notaries. We need people who are notaries who will sit with us and take the time, because we're looking at 91,000. That's our minimum goal. I know that I'm hoping
91,000
to.
signatures.
Mhm. And I'm hoping that we get somewhere in the realm of 125, because we know that some of those signatures are going to be challenged and thrown out. And that could be for any number of reasons, valid or not. And so what we need is people who are notaries to come and sit with us, and they don't have to volunteer in any other capacity, um, because we have so many of these that we're going to be doing, and each one of them takes time. And as a notary, it is a legal responsibility. It is an ethical responsibility for you to be there and to take the time to do that correctly. And I want to be as considerate of that request as possible. But
Why
I also
notaries?
would,
What do notaries do in this process?
I forget that we were going. Once a signature page has been completely filled out, that canvasser has to take that to a notary, and that notary will sign it with their notary stamp saying, yes, this person came to me. I checked their ID. They have shown me that they are legally the person that matches the signature on this page, to say they collected these signatures and they should be considered for this ballot measure. We cannot turn in any of those ballot petition signature pages without a notary signature on them. And we have 10 signature lines for each one of these pages. So if you take 91,000, I'm not going to do the math. It would be bad if I tried. But each one of them has 10, and we need at least 125,000 signatures. And so that's a lot of time from a lot of different people across the state. But I also would challenge each and every single person watching this video, whether you're on the live stream right now or whether you are watching this in the future. If you live in Arkansas, please contact either Dr. Gaines or myself and get some petition signatures. And the only thing I'm going to ask for you is to find 10 signatures of your friends and your closest family, because we can do this work through our community relationships that we have already. We do not have to have large scale efforts if we're going to work within our community already. And I think that that's a really wonderful opportunity for everyone to maybe talk to that person that you're not really sure where they land politically, but you know they care about Arkansas. This is a way to ask them to be in conversation with you about it, and it's not partisan.
What else do we need?
I think more than anything, I think we had about 1,000 volunteers in 2024. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see us come up to 1,500 volunteers. And I would love for us to have county leaders in every county. Even if your county is very, very small, it will always matter, because we have to qualify 50 counties according to the new laws that are more and more restrictive. I think being able to say every county has been represented in this petition would be very powerful. And I believe that there are people in every single county, no matter how small, no matter how partisan, that believe that Arkansas can live up to our expectations.
So we have 75 counties. Uh,
Correct.
so a goal for you is to have uh, a volunteer every single one of those 75 counties, at least one volunteer
Yep.
collecting signatures for the campaign.
Absolutely. And I
Okay.
think we can do it. I think, like we were talking about earlier, the 6 degrees of Arkansas, everybody knows
Mhm.
somebody. And we can reach into our own community and find somebody who can be a leader in their county.
All
All
right.
it takes is finding the right person.
All right. And when we look at 1,000 volunteers uh, in 2024, and you saying we should have uh, at least 1,500 in 2026. So, but looking at those 1,000 volunteers, if we do the math right, each one of those 1,000 volunteers would have to collect 125 signatures each in order for
Mm-hmm.
us to reach our goal. But if we had uh, twice as many as that, then each one would have to collect twice as few. So the more people we have out collecting and getting, like you said, at minimum, those 10 signatures from people that you know and people that you care about and people that you love, the less work everybody has to do. Am I understanding that correctly?
Absolutely. Like I have always been told many hands make light work.
Many
And
hands. I was trying to think of that proverb. Many hands make
yes.
light.
Um, now I it was told to me when we were doing stuff in the garden and I was not really super pleased about it, but it's one of those things that like gets stuck in your head when you're little. Um, and it's important for people to have a sense of ownership. The people that I am lucky enough to work with as volunteers in this, they are some of the kindest and most giving and absolutely they're the most driven people I know. And they're not driven by spite or anything like that. It's amazing how much hope they have given the way our legislature has treated these initiatives in the past. That they still get up and they still say, "I'm going to do this because it's worth doing." And like Dr. Gaines said, once we find more people to work that muscle of getting involved, the more they're going to be able to find others and bring them along in the work with us.
So, someone that's listening to this conversation right now, Dara, they would go to the website, sign up to be a volunteer, and then what happens?
So, depending on which website you go to, either me or Catherine will reach out uh, and connect you with your county leader, invite you to a training. I host trainings every other Wednesday in the evening, and then every Friday at usually at 12:30, but not this Friday at 12:30. This Friday it'll be at 1:30. Um, but and we get you trained and we connect you with that county leader, so your county leader is going to be your main point of contact, because as you can imagine, me and Catherine trying to talk to thousands of individual volunteers is a little bit unruly, so we really rely on our county leaders and our cluster leaders to organize their area. And I know Catherine made a pitch for county leaders, and that can be intimidating to people, but I want to say that it is work. Like I'm not going to lie and say it's not work. However, it's certainly manageable, and you would not be on your own. You would have both of us to support you, as well as other county leaders who have done this before for other ballot measures, as well as the volunteers. Catherine is spot on. The people who are interested in doing this sort of stuff are doing it because they care, and you know that when you care about something, you put your all into it. So you would not be by yourself. This is not something that people are doing begrudgingly. Like, people are excited to be doing this work. So you fill out your information on either website or both websites. You can do both, and we will set you up with somebody in your area. If there's not anybody in your area, don't even be surprised when we ask if you want to be the person in your area. Because it's intimidating, but it's certainly something that you can do. I'm not gonna say anybody can do it, but anybody who's driven and is organized enough and cares enough about it, you can make it work.
And how
So
does the
there's
training look?
Yeah, so we have some different options available for people. Currently, I'm doing those virtual sessions, so via Zoom. They usually take about an hour, 15 minutes or so. And I go through from top to bottom, what is it? In mine specifically, I'm talking about the Protect Our Rights initiative, but the how to do it part works for both of these. Um, I talk through what this initiative is, why it's important, how to collect signatures, right? So I go through the whole process of filling out a petition and as a canvasser, what your role is. I also talk through the structure of this campaign so that you can be sure that you're not by yourself trying to collect these signatures. And then we open it up for ideas on how to get signatures. So we talk about, the friends and family collection. So going through your actual friends and family, getting their information. We have site and event collection. So people that have, regular church services or regular meetings or any of those things, you could be collecting signatures there at those spaces. You don't even have to go anywhere that you wouldn't normally go. And we also have opportunities for drive-through canvassing events and presences at other larger events. So there's lots of different ways to get these signatures. And so I kind of talk about that as well on that training, especially for folks who haven't done something like this.
Catherine, I think I interrupted you when you were saying something. Did I?
Oh,
Or were you
yeah.
talking to the
So
cat?
county leaders, and going back to, well, I was like, wait a minute. Um, I had a very lovely mentor, and his name is Mudcat Arnold, and I he was the first person that I worked with in Mississippi. And when we were talking about field work, he said something that has always stuck with me. He said, "It's not that the work is difficult; it's just hard." And I feel like if you can plan a kid's birthday party, if you can plan a big, like hosting a holiday dinner, if you can plan like a family trip, you can plan for some of these events.
Mm,
Um, like I said, it's not that the work is difficult, it's just hard.
that's interesting. I like that. I'm gonna have to think on that, how I can use that in the future. Okay, so all
I
three
mean,
of
he
us,
also said, like, if you've ever, go
if
ahead,
you ever
it's all
go
right.
ahead.
No, it's fine.
Oh, Dara, you see she leaving us hanging, right?
Hey man, I can't. I can't make a lady say something she don't want to say.
I know. So all three of us, it appears, uh, have some type of affiliation with small town Arkansas. Both of you, that's where you came from, and that's where I currently am. So I have an
Oh, okay.
understanding of living in an unincorporated small town, Dara, like you grew up in. Uh, how and with Arkansas being mostly rural, how does rurality, Dara, play into uh, this what we're doing here with participatory democracy?
So I think there's a couple of levels to go on. I think one, if we're sticking with the volunteer angle or the participation angle, I think our volunteers are less likely to think they're volunteers. Like, we have, like, people, uh, to Catherine's point, do all of these things. People plan these big events. People plan revivals and vacation Bible schools and Christmas dinner with 30 people coming to the house, but they feel like they're not equipped to do this sort of work because they haven't had a consistent political presence in their area. So I think that number one, ruralness plays a part into this process because we have to do a little bit of work of convincing people that they can do it. Whereas in a lot of these larger cities, people have had that opportunity time and time again, so they know that they can. I also think, though, that it gives us a really unique opportunity in that we get to go to places with these very distinct personalities, right? I'm sure Ogden is very different than a lot of other places, and y'all can say the same for y'all's towns. But what that means is you get to identify people who other people listen to, because every town has some man or woman who people look up to and respect, even if they get tired of them fussing at them all the time, they still do listen to them. And so we get to find those
Yes.
people and bring them in, and not only get them to pretty much preach for us regarding our stuff, but we also get to learn from them, and we get to honor them in the service that they have done for their communities. And I think that's really special when you're doing this type of work, especially in rural Arkansas, is remembering that, yeah, what we're doing is important, but it's a bunch of people doing a bunch of important stuff. And we have
Yep.
to figure out how to work together and honor people in that.
When I hear you guys talk about planning the way you have, first of all, I find it very encouraging. And I even think about, this weekend, the No Kings rallies are
Hmm.
going on. I remember 2 weeks ago when I looked at the national website, there were only 13 events here in Arkansas. And now there's over 20 events. And I'm like, how did these events just pop up? And I guess it's that planning that you guys are talking about. So let's spend some time talking about what's getting ready to happen this weekend and how both of your campaigns will be approaching the No Kings Rally weekend.
So I was really pleased to see that there are no kings all the way from Siloam Springs to Jonesboro, in Harrison, and then in even Monticello. It's not just the big cities, although those are going to be quite substantial, and we're going to have a very large presence at those. Um, I think it speaks to the moment in time where people feel compelled to make a statement about where they stand um, in relation to the way the government is treating people. Everybody has a limit, and Arkansans saying, here is my limit. And even if it is 15 people, you will probably find someone in that protest mix that you didn't expect to be there. And it gives everyone a moment to really forge new connections and build a new community in places that you'd never really thought would be the case. And what we're doing is we're going to have a presence at every single one of these events that we know of that we could find a volunteer for. Um, we have a goal in mind of how many signatures we'd like to collect statewide. Um, and I think the most important part of it is we want to invite protesters to say, yes, you have every right to be angry, but your anger can find a purpose. Your anger can find an outlet that would benefit not just this generation, but generations to come, because both of these
Yes.
campaigns are transformative in the way
Yes.
that they will put a real check on the Arkansas legislature's ability to overturn these if they were passed. Both of these have specific language saying that this cannot be changed unless by a vote of the people. And Arkansas's our motto is Regnat Populus, which means the people rule. And it can be turned into a catchy little slogan that doesn't mean a whole lot unless we're actually doing the work. And at this moment, I want for other people, especially protesters who this may be their first time protesting, to see that Arkansans really are pushing for change where we can. And that involves showing up in our communities and the communities around us.
Absolutely, Catherine. I mean, I am so impressed with the response that we've gotten. And also, shout out to you because you definitely got people going and engaged with the No Kings. But people are ready. So if you are
Well,
going
thank you.
to a No Kings protest, or if you've been, if you're watching this in the future and you see that there were protests or things happening, please know that all of those are opportunities to get involved. I really appreciate the point that Catherine made about this being a next step. One of the complaints that I've heard from people about these is like, okay, well, we go out here and we march around and we're upset, but then what? Like, what does this really do? I think that both of these campaigns really get at the heart of what No Kings is about, right? We don't want to live in an authoritarian place. We don't want to live in a place where one idea has to be the case. We want to live in a place where the people rule, where we are able to have a say on how our kids experience education, on the way that our government actually runs. So I think it's magnificent that we were able to coordinate this effort to have like she said, we got folks in Texarkana, we got people in Harrison, we got people literally all up and down 71 I-30 all over the state doing this sort of stuff when you can't even, like, a lot of these places you look at the regular voter turnout and it's abysmal, but you see people getting
Mm-hmm.
organized and getting out for something like this. And I'm honestly just proud to see folks getting engaged on this level. And I'm also proud of our organizers for taking the time to get themselves prepared to collect signatures at these events.
Wonderful. And I'm looking at
Thanks.
our time, and we are almost out of the 1 hour that were allotted to talk. And I really think that we could probably talk for 2.5, maybe even 3 more hours because of the import of this and just the way that both of you are making this, putting it where the goats can get it, basically. Since y'all from rural Arkansas, y'all might know what that means. But Catherine, I'm going to ask you a question, then I'm ask Dara the same question, so that we can go ahead and put a cherry on top of this Sunday. Uh, what did I miss in this conversation that you would like to communicate to the viewers?
I think more than anything, it's that you don't have to have an extent of knowledge to get started doing any of this work. I I showed up at a campaign office because I believed in what the candidate was saying, and then I used what talents and skills I already had and found a place for myself in politics. You don't have to have all of the answers. You don't have to have a skill set specifically for politics. What we need are people who have the drive and the willingness to do the work, and we can work on everything else.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add to that is, we hear a lot of people saying, "Well, I don't do politics." Well, I want to let everybody know, if you do not do politics, politics will do you. So you might as well.
Now, Kwame, that's my line.
Oh, my bad.
Uh-huh.
People talk about
Uh-huh.
people will hear it in the future. Let's rewind that. Dara,
No.
what did I miss that you would like to convey in this conversation?
Yeah, I don't think it's something that we missed, but it's something that I would like to reiterate, that this is not the time to say, "Oh, I'm from a little town. It doesn't matter." You know, people in Little Rock got it. The people in Fayetteville got it. That's where the blue dots are, or whatever. First of all, these are nonpartisan campaigns. We have polls, data that show across the board, people support these issues. So maybe you don't need to go up saying who you're gonna vote for or whatever to people, but you can get some people who you might not normally agree with to agree with these core issues, because these are not things for us to argue about. These are facts. We deserve to be able to uh, make sure that our government is responsive to us. We deserve for our tax dollars to go toward equal opportunities for education. Like these are agreed on tenets. So please don't let being from Ogden, Arkansas, or Foreman, or some other little town stop
I'm
you,
from Gibson. Say Gibson.
or from Gibson, right?
There
You from Wilmer, you from Dermott, right? You from D-Light. And I don't want people to feel like they can't participate in this particular effort because you're from that place. We need you more than ever to participate in this, because we have to get 50 counties. We have to get a decent response from at least 50 counties. And so that's more than just Pulaski. That's more than just Washington. We need everybody. So please don't let being from a little town make you feel like you can't participate. If you don't have but 10 people in that town, you can fill up a petition sheet.
Yeah.
That's right.
Please reach out to us, because we are willing to travel. We're willing to help folks do whatever we got to do to get you onboarded and get you to be a part of this team.
And how will they reach out to you, Dara?
If you see me on the street, you can wave. No, I'm kidding. You can.
If you see that photo on the street,
Right, you see that beautiful smile, just wave and say, "Hey, girl, you look familiar." But you can always send me an email at dara@forarpeople for AR people .org, or you can reach out, like I said, via that website, protectarrights.org, and someone will certainly follow up with you. So either way, send me an email at dara@4arpeople.org, or reach out via website.
Okay. And Katherine, how will they reach out to you?
Well, they can get involved at our website. It's 4arkids.org. And you can get in touch with me on my email, which is Katherine, ATHERIN, at arpanel.org.
Well, I want to thank both of you for investing time and having this conversation. And we're going to make this happen. We're going to, in the words of Dr. Dara Gaines, we deserve the right to imagine a better Arkansas.
Right.
Everybody
on.
have a great day. This has
Absolutely.
been Arkansas. Yeah, this has been Arkansas Public Policy Panel's noon webinar. In our next webinar, we're going to be talking about the SAVE Act real soon, because that's a conversation that has to happen sooner than later. So just keep on the lookout, and we'll see you some Friday in the future at noon. Everybody have a great day.